If you continue to look to the left, ladies and gentlemen, you'll see a long white building sitting on a pier. That pier is called Pier A. Pier A is the oldest standing pier in America. It was built by the Dutch. Guess what? When the Dutch arrived here on this island in the year 1624, they encountered two Indian tribes, the natives, the Lenape tribe and the Iroquois tribe. No matter what the Dutch did, no matter what the Indians did, they just could not find common ground and learn to live together. The Indians did not want the Dutch on their land, so they used any means necessary to get rid of them. It didn't work. So guess what the Dutch did? Guess what the Dutch did? They built a wall. They built a massive wall. This wall went from river to river. The purpose of the wall was to protect the Dutch from the Indians, but the Dutch had a greater fear. They had a greater fear. The Dutch knew that one day the British would arrive. 84 years after that wall went up, the British finally arrived on the north end of the island. They conquered those, they made peace with those two Indian tribes. They came down here to the south end of the island. They conquered the Dutch, and guess what they did next? You know that wall I told you the Dutch built? Well, the British knocked that wall down, named that space Wall Street, and that was the beginning of the history, the documented. That was the beginning of the documented history of our island. This is the Wall Street area. Look to the right side of the boat, guys. You'll see a round building. This round building is called Castle Williams. Governor's Island was first occupied by the Lenape tribe, then by the U.S. Army, then the Navy, and then the Coast Guard. That round building is called Castle Williams. At one time, Castle Williams was a military prison for draft dodgers. For those of you who are not familiar with that term, a draft dodger is an American man or woman that refuses to serve in the military. They'll do everything to dodge that going to the military. And they would throw draft dodgers in Castle Williams. Guess who served time there? Supposed to say who? Guess who served time there? Walt Disney from Disneyland. He was a draft dodger, so they threw him in Castle Williams. Guess what he did while he was there? He wrote his business plan for Disneyland. He had many, many months to write the best business plan in the history of our country, because Disneyland is a worldwide phenomenon. You see, children, going to jail is not such a bad thing after all. That's not true. That's the only lie that I tell you today. Governor's Island behind us, ladies and gentlemen, is a historical island. There's restaurants there. There's a couple of cocktail lounges. There's a health spa. There's a swimming pool. You can take a history tour. There's bicycle rentals. You can also go camping on Governor's Island. And we'll see that campsite as we return back this way. Guess what? Guess what time it is? You're supposed to say what time is it. Guess what time it is? I love you guys. It's time to unlock New York City. When I say unlock New York City, that means I'm going to give you suggestions, tips, and recommendations. Look to the left side of the boat, you'll see a word ship. You can see people now entering the ship. This ship is called the Staten Island Ferry. It holds 3,000 tourists, and guess what? It's absolutely free to ride the Staten Island Ferry. It does not get as close to the statue as we will today, but guess what? Here's the tip. Not only is it free to ride the Staten Island Ferry, you want to do it at nighttime when it's dark outside, because everything that your eyes will see with us today, you'll see it all lit up in lights. It's absolutely magical, and it is the perfect way to end a day here on our island. Ride the Staten Island Ferry. It leaves every 30 minutes from Battery Park at the Staten Island Ferry Terminal, and it's absolutely free. Guys, you see these helicopters? This is the East Side Heliport. This is also the presidential heliport. Here is where the president lands when he comes to New York City. He gets in an airplane called Air Force One, flies to JFK Airport after former President John F. Kennedy. Then from there, the president gets in a helicopter, and that helicopter lands here. Guess what? You too can take a helicopter ride from here. A helicopter ride is $200 for 15 minutes. $200 for 15 minutes, and it's worth every single penny. I guarantee you. If it's in your travel budget, take the helicopter ride. It's $200 for 15 minutes, and guess what? tickets. If you get the ticket from me, it's $199. All right, guys, get your cameras out. Go to your cell phone, get your cameras ready, and put your camera on zoom. Here's why. I am going to guide your eyes and your cameras to the second oldest church in America. If you notice, the captain of the boat just slowed the boat down. His name is Captain Ivan. Everyone say, thank you, Captain.
Thank you, Captain.
He slowed the boat down because you're only going to have 5 seconds to see it. Here we go. Take your cameras out now. Look to the left side of the boat. You'll see a building with green windows, and inside of those windows, directly across from us, you see little white lights. And then you see and then you move forward, you see a huge open space, and then there's a white building. You want to zoom your camera, that's right, young lady, you want to zoom your camera into that huge open space right there. You want to zoom your camera into that huge open space, and in just a few seconds, you're going to see the second oldest standing church in America. When you see the church, scream out really loud, I see it. Okay, keep looking. Here we go. Get your camera ready now because you're only going to have a few seconds to see it. Don't wait. Thank you, Captain. Keep looking. By the way, that street that you're looking across is the most famous street in the world. That's Wall Street. When you see the church, say, I see it. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. There it is. What do you say? I see it.
I see it.
You see it?
I see it.
That church is the second oldest church in America. It's called Trinity Church. Trinity Church is surrounded by a cemetery where you'll find several signers of the Declaration of Independence. And once again, that street you looked across is Wall Street. Guess what? I told you where I do not live. Welcome to my neighborhood, ladies and gentlemen. Please look to the left side of the boat. This is the South Street Seaport. This is where I grew up. This is where my family still remains. This is a historical district. If you're over 21, say, I am. This Pier 15, if you're over 21, great place to be at night. Food, music, drinks, cocktails, excellent place to party at night. The ship that you see here is called the Waving Tree Liverpool. It's an old antique fisherman ship. It's one of the ships that once brought seafood into the New York City harbor. The reason why we call this area the South Street Seaport, because when I was a little boy, this is where all the seafood would come into our city, making it the Seaport. The green building that you see here at Pier 17, this pier was completely destroyed during Hurricane Sandy. If you like to have a fine dining experience, a New York City fine dining experience, come to Pier 17. Some of the most expensive restaurants in New York City can be found here. They're all exquisite. I've eaten at a couple of them. Behind Pier 17, there's a building called the Tin Building. The Tin Building is where you'll find many, many gourmet eateries all under one roof. And if you look behind Pier 17, you can see the Tin Building. It's the white building with the dark square windows. Guess what? Guess what? The biggest mistake you can all make when visiting New York City, the number one biggest mistake you can all make when visiting New York City is to make the decision not to go to Brooklyn. Every human being should visit Brooklyn. I'm not going to let you make that mistake. The captain's not going to let you make that mistake. Ladies and gentlemen, please look to the right side of the boat. Welcome to the beautiful Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn has the largest population of all 5 boroughs. 2.7 million people live in Brooklyn. The White House, the lighthouse that you see there with the tower on it, is the oldest ice cream parlor in America. It's called the Brooklyn Ice Cream Factory, where you see these colorful flowers here at this barge just under the Brooklyn Bridge where that white boat is. That's the Brooklyn Cafe, a very, very elegant, long-time restaurant here in New York City. Jackets required for men. Behind the lighthouse where the Brooklyn Ice Cream Factory is number 1 Front Street, the very first building built in Brooklyn in the 1800s. Today that building is the home of Grimaldi's Pizza. Also, ladies and gentlemen, this area is called Brooklyn Heights. It's a historical district. Long before the Brooklyn Bridge was built, this was the very first neighborhood on the island. The Brooklyn Bridge, look up, look up, look up. You're looking at one of the world's most iconic bridges, the Brooklyn Bridge, which was built in 1886. the very first bridge to connect Manhattan to Brooklyn. When the Brooklyn Bridge was built, no one would go onto the bridge for many, many months because someone told a lie. Someone told a huge lie. They said that the Brooklyn Bridge would fall, that it was weak, it was not safe. So no one would go onto the bridge for many months until Pete turned around, look behind us. This is our photographer. He's here to take your photos here at the Brooklyn Bridge. Great takeaway souvenir. No one would go onto the Brooklyn Bridge for many months until P.T. Bonham from Bonham and Bailey Circus took Jumbo the elephant and 50 other elephants across the Brooklyn Bridge to prove to the world that the bridge was not and would not fall. Guys, look to the right side of the boat. This is where you want to come to if you visit Brooklyn. This area is called Dumbo. This is a historical district. Cobblestone Street neighborhood. Loads of restaurants, rooftop lounges, speakeasies for you adults. Tons and tons of nightlife, great daytime dining opportunities. The carousel that you see there is called the Jane Carousel. It's the oldest wooden carousel in America. It was built in 1922 in Philadelphia. It arrived here to the Brooklyn waterfront in 2007, where it will always remain. If you look to the left side of the boat, ladies, the left side of the boat, you're looking at the Brooklyn Bridge. Here on the right side of the boat is the Manhattan Bridge. If you look all the way up the river is the Williamsburg Bridge. Guess what? We have a nickname for these three bridges, young lady. We call them the BMW bridges, like the car, BMW. B for Brooklyn Bridge, M for Manhattan Bridge, and W for Williamsburg Bridge. Guys, Barris, where are you? Barris is our house photographer. He's a professional photographer. Let him take your photo here at the Brooklyn Bridge or at the Statue of Liberty. He takes really great photos. They're very, very inexpensive, and it's a great souvenir takeaway. Guess what? I'll see you guys at the Statue of Liberty. Use this time to go downstairs, get yourself a refreshment, use the restrooms, let Barris take your photo, and prepare yourself for the grand finale. Welcome aboard, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us.